fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up top here!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Sometimes you just got to lick the stamp and send it.
I don't know what happened on there. I just plucked her in first, gave some gen. Oh, fuck yeah.
You are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
We go green for 40 minutes of racing around Monza.
Look at defense by Ethan Grigol, just getting so punchy.
And a brilliant getaway already from Josh Rogers.
Two pro drivers going at it here between Dylan O'Keefe and Nick Foster.
Stanaway's demoted to third. Webster wins week 9 here at Sebring through the final corner. That's a huge slide for Cooper Murray. Just trying to barge their way through, and that's whoa, that's a merry-go-round for Nick Burkett. Campbell, Paolo Gaon, and Ferraris behind. Glenn Wood actually was flipped into the barriers. One of the most exciting pirouettes I've seen in quite some time. That's Van Gisbergen, and his day is done. Tell you what, if Calvin wins this race, I wouldn't be surprised. He's all 4 wheels up the racetrack. Wow, but he just saves it on the apex.
Contact almost made, side by side through the elevation change, and Scotty McLaughlin had the move done, but he got over the crest. And
What a send!
Dylan O'Keefe sends it up to the inside, can't do anything with it.
Shane Van Gisbergen already on the attack.
It begins and sending has begun.
And it's going to be a drag race to the line. Tuesday night is rapidly becoming a night to lick the stamp. Send it.
I forgot I was helping commentate here. I was just sitting back in my jocks and
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world on the SimSpeed TV network. Welcome to the penultimate week for Season 2 of the Just Send It iRacing series. I'm your series commentator, Lachlan Mansell. Joining me in the commentary box for tonight's race will be Jay Kennedy. And Jay, we've just completed the Daytona 500, so it's quite appropriate. We've got a NASCAR theme for this week's edition of Just Send It.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's been a huge week of stock car, or 2 weeks of stock car racing here on SimSpeed. So finish off the little run that we've had. We will head to Charlotte and run the 2018 version of the Charlotte Roval with the 2016 version of the Gen6 Chevy, that being the modified VF Commodore, which I think is one of the coolest looking NASCARs ever, being the fact that it is a Commodore. Of course, with the sad week that we've had, or a sad announcement this week, I think pretty fitting to have that car as well.
So just for the benefit of our international viewers who might not be aware of the news that broke here in Australia yesterday, the very sad news that Jay is referring to is the fact that Holden, that has been an iconic car manufacturer, built cars here in Australia from 1948 through until the end of 2017 and has continued on as a proudly Australian vehicle manufacturer for the last couple of years, has announced that it will no longer exist as a brand. General Motors have decided they're going to retire the Holden brand from Australian shores, so there will no longer be the Holden cars that have been such a, I suppose, cultural integral part of Australian culture, really, for many decades.
It's the same as losing Vegemite, really, for me. I think it's the icon, like Vegemite, Holden cars, and a Hills hoist, and a Victor lawnmower. If any of the other things went, it'd be a sad time. So it's a very sad news to come out in the last 24 hours or so. But as I say, all good things must come to an end, and end of the road for Holden means that we can continue to remember and honour the brand of Holden years to come with things like this on iRacing, with the brand living on forever.
We can continue to celebrate the brand, that's for sure. And let's have a talk about the circuit that we're racing on tonight. It is the Roval circuit, which is the oval with, I suppose, the inside road course section of the Charlotte circuit. So you've got the high speed banks corners in the oval section, but in the infield section, you've also got some quite technical sections that do have quite a lot of curbs and undulation changes and things that the drivers are going to have to be very well aware of tonight.
Well, this circuit actually saw modification due to driver requests. So this is a 2018 version of the Roval. We're just on board here with Cooper Webster. You'll see these curbs here through the back straight. So there's a chicane in the back straight to slow the drivers down before they come through the front straight. That secondary curb, the outside curb for the exit of the second part of the chicane is really, really tough and can propel drivers straight into that tyre bundle. So you've got to be careful. And also through this final chicane just before the start-finish line, very easy to get that wrong. We'll see a lot of changes in position at the finish line based on that corner there alone, just like the real deal did as well, because remember the final or the finish of the race here last year, or the year before, sorry, the 2018 version, was the first and second hitting each other, making contact with the third car coming across the line to win the race.
Wouldn't it be extraordinary if we had a similar scenario unfold tonight? We had a very nasty crash at the Daytona 500 earlier today involving Ryan Newman that you might have seen, where his car got flipped just on the finish straightaway, and scarily he also got collected in the driver's door while his car was upside down. The latest reports that have come through on social media, though, Jay, are that while Ryan Newman has been quite seriously injured, the injuries are not life-threatening, and you have to say that that is very, very good news.
Yeah, the positive takeaway is that the car's safe enough that means that while he is in a serious condition and he is going to likely come out of it okay, as I said, serious injuries but not life-threatening. So I think that there's something not good that's happened, but the fact is it's in safe hands, and we'll hopefully one day be able to see him back out on the track. But yeah, really unfortunate. So on for the win as well. That's probably the more heartbreaking thing. He was so close to winning the Daytona 500. It's gone from extreme joy to extreme disappointment for he and his teammates and his family. So thinking of Ryan Newman and his family and the entire crew over there as well. It's a disappointing way to end the weekend for those guys over there.
Well, let's talk some more positive news and let's check out our grid positions for tonight's race. And it will be Cooper Webster, who's already notched up 2 victories in Just Send It this season. A win in the Ferrari at Monza, a win in the Stadium Truck at Laguna Seca. He will start on pole position tonight. Blake Purdy joins him on the front row of the grid. Row number 2, you've got Cody Bircher out of position number 3, the Australian Formula Ford Championship race winner. And out of 4th position on the grid, he's recently relocated to Europe, one of the best sim racers in the world. That is Josh Rogers. Position number 5 on the grid will be occupied by Job Stewart. Brenton Hobson qualifies in his traditional 6th position. And then it's Brad Newman in 7th, Glenn Postlethwaite in 8th, Cohen Attard in 9th position, and Joseph DeJesus rounding out your top 10.
Then we've got Tyler Howard and Steve Owen on row number 6 in 11th and 12th. And we've got Casey Mann and Reese Cohen next. Jordan Caruso and Jay Hansen, those guys probably down a little bit further than what they would like. Josh Perveen and Mia Ott on row 9. Mia Ott, of course, winner of a race in this series as well, back at Daytona earlier in the season. Techstar McCoy and Benjamin Smith round out row number 10.
Dwayne Preece will start out of 21st position. Steve Cortis, the former Porsche 944 and Commodore Cup racer, out of 22nd spot. Back to Kobe Williams in 23rd. Ben Snell in 24th position. Damien Rasmussen in 25th. And then it's Jay Brown. Adam Camperoli in 27th position. Darren McKenzie in 28th. Mitch McLeod a bit further back than he would have liked. His best qualifying time got disallowed tonight. And then Renee Harris rounding out your top 30 starters.
Got Glenn Morris and Will Longmore on row 16. Jonathan Bykoff and Will Newell next. And Brenton West and Josh Morris. Christina Nazarak, a regular for the Just Center series, back in 37th position. Harrison Dengate in 38th with Michael Thomas and James Close on row number 20.
Once again, it's a big field in Just Send It. Guy Leach out of 41st position. Back then to Luke Claver in 42nd, Fitzroy Beaumont out of 43rd spot, Tyson McAvoy in 44th, Jaden Wanzek out of 45th position, Simon Black in 46th, Ivan Van Tagliato in 47th position, Dave Trevethan in 48th, Trent Bowles 49th, and Cameron Dance in 50th spot.
That is our full field of 50. We had 100 drivers attempt to make the grid tonight, taking the top 50 from qualifying into this event. It's going to be a very, very cool one. Usual 40-minute format, pit stop to come, tough pit entry to get into. That is going to be a key to this race as we get ready to get the green flag as they come through this very, very tight chicane to start the race. This could catch a few drivers out as well.
Safety car peels into pit lane, so it's a NASCAR theme to just send it as they negotiate their way around at the final chicane. Turns 16 and 17, and it is going to be Cooper Webster who puts his foot to the floor straight away to get us underway for week 11, and we've already got a crash in the first corner. Blake Purdy's in the fence, and he's been collected by a couple of runners a little bit further back in the field. Cohen Adhard has ended up rotated as well. So a couple of the drivers who started up the order finding themselves in trouble early on, particularly Blake Purdy, who started on the front row of the grid.
Joe Stewart, Glenn Postlethwaite and Cody Bircher going at it through the infield section. And a little bit of contact between Stewart and Bircher there. And around goes Joe Stewart, so he won't be happy with that. He's going to regather the car. But Cooper Webster's managed to pull a decent little gap already. The midfield, other than that turn one incident, looks like a majority of the field has got through, albeit a little bit slower, but we're fairly clean for the most part. A couple of drivers have already left the race, but Cooper Webster, having the lead he's got already, he's been so dominant in this series. The two most dominant drivers are together, but there's an uncharacteristic move for you.
A mistake from Josh Rogers. I don't believe it. You never see Josh Rogers making errors, but he's done that all on his own. He was second position. He had some nice clear track to start chasing after our runaway race leader Cooper Webster, and he's made an unforced error all by himself. We'll have to have a look at the replay of this. Has he been caught out by one of those curbs that we were talking about? Indeed he has. So he's clipped the curb. That's unsettled the car. He's fought and fought and fought to try and correct it, but in the end not able to do so, and ends up firing it into the fence. And more dramas a bit further back. That's Jay Hansen getting stuck into it with the recovering Josh Rogers. Those two cars making sign-to-sign contact.
Not familiar with these cars as well. Of course, 4-speed gearbox. Very, very old school car. They talk about them being stock cars for a reason, because they are very, very old school style cars. And have a look at the slide from Jay Hansen. Those rears will be struggling. Be interesting to see what the drivers do when it does come time for the pit stop in this event. We know that they need fuel. Almost all of them will take tyres. Will some only take 2 tyres? That'll be a key. Of course, very, very old school pit stops as well. Six crew members over the fence. Oh, Jay Hansen on the wall.
Another driver who gets caught out by one of those curbs. So the drivers need to really understand that if you don't respect the ripple strips through that high-speed chicane, it will bite you, and it will bite you hard. We've had some of the experienced, some of the most successful drivers in sim racing getting caught out by that curb, and I'll tell you what, Dave Owen there was also very lucky not to copy Jay Hansen. It looks like he might have copped a slowdown penalty there for maybe taking a little bit too much curb and shortcutting the circuit.
Oh, he actually hit the wall as well.
He actually hit the wall.
Yeah.
There you go.
The 2 drivers. Now, have a look at the gap. This is Glenn Postlethwaite. Have a look in front of him. He's in second position. Where's Cooper Webster gone? He's 6 seconds up the road already. We're only on the lap 3. He's flying.
And Glenn Postlethwaite, I don't know that he's actually overtaken any cars. Most of the positions that he's made up has just been drivers in front making mistakes. So the approach of staying out of trouble, but avoiding getting caught up in incidents, paying dividends for Glenn Postlethwaite at the moment.
Definitely seems to be the case at this stage. So, little drive through the field for now for Posy, but now back to 6.5 seconds. You've got Cody Bircher starting to close in that gap behind as well. Bircher also been very, very quick throughout this series. Josh Rogers is starting to close in, but this battle pack now behind Jay Hansen, heavily damaged Jay Hansen. He's just lost a spot there to Benjamin Smith. He's going to lose another one, but Steve Owen's in the fence. We've got a big pile up at the final chicane.
Oh, and this is going to claim some more victims as well, because Steve Owen has ended up parked in a pretty awkward position on the racetrack there, right on the racing line. He's going to go tumbling down the order mayor of the other driver who got tangled up in that incident.
Has that been out of the grass, and another driver involved there too, the 42 car, that's Tyler Howard, got spun and nowhere to go, and then the 14 car also getting involved there too. The 14 is... Who is that? I can't see them on my list. Where are they? There we are. That's Joseph Jesus. So another one of our quick drivers. All having trouble here tonight, aren't they? I think the tyres not coming up to temperature as quick as they would be happy with is catching out a few of these drivers.
That could be part of it, but I think also, Jay, the fact that there's so many different corners on this racetrack that can catch out the unwary, and Joseph to Jesus and Tyler Howard involved in another incident. There goes Mia Ott. She goes scooting through after losing the best part of about half a minute while she was tangled up with Steve Owen a couple of minutes ago. And Josh Rogers, who, remember, he was in the fence, and that car is certainly damaged, but he's still running along in position 4 at the moment, Josh Rogers. You would imagine that he'll probably take the opportunity to try and fix some of that damage when he comes in for his pit stop.
You'll probably see him in at the earliest possible opportunity. In saying that, his pace is still pretty good. Speaking of pace, so Brad Newman, P11 at the moment. Last lap by was a 1 minute 20. That's probably not representative, but most of the drivers 117, 118, a couple of drivers in the 16s. Cooper Webster, last time by, did a 1 minute 14.6, and that wasn't his fastest lap. He's done a 14.5 as well. He's absolutely flying at the moment. But Cody Bircher, Glenn Postlethwaite, oh no, not again!
Hold on to it, Glenn. Hold on to it. He saved it. Great save. Great car control for Glenn Postlethwaite. I thought he was going to be another victim who was going to get claimed by that wall, but somehow Glenn Postlethwaite managed to save it. It's been that chicane on the back straight, turns 11 and 12. That's the one that's catching them all out. Let's have a look at this for a great example of car control from Glenn Postlethwaite. Right on board our second place car. Watch the steering movement, left, right. That's what you call a tank slapper. Most of the time when you have one of those, you don't escape. But Glenn Postlethwaite managing to hold on to it. Well done.
It's just the first slide he was probably okay with. It's as it was sliding, it just bounced over that curb. Just seen Josh Pervine is going slow. I think he's just decided to shortcut half the circuit because he was caught up the timing sheets a fair way. So Josh Pervine currently scored in 15th position. He's had an issue out on the circuit. Probably it's just cut all of the chicanes and running the oval for the moment. But this battle between Bircher and Postlethwaite looks like it's where it's at the moment. A few other drivers starting to drop out with issues, but Cody Bircher putting enough pressure on Glenn Postlethwaite to cause a few issues for Possie, and he's making some uncharacteristic mistakes at the moment.
Although he's going to cop some laps traffic here, Cody Bircher, and that might just cost him a fraction of a second as he negotiates his way around the laps number 68 car of Jonathan Bykoff. Just allows Glenn Postlethwaite to skip ahead by a couple of car lengths, but Cody Bircher was certainly putting pressure on Glenn Postlethwaite, who's yet to win a race in the Just Centred Series. Best result of second place in the truck at Laguna Seca, where he came very, very close to getting the win, but of course that last lap, last corner battle that he had with Cooper Webster went the way of Cooper Webster. Ultimately, we've got another spinner here on the exit of that chicane, and more drivers having to take evasive action. That was Adam Campariali, I think you'll find, who was involved in that one. That's not taking too much curb, it's just coming in too hot, I think you'll find. Maybe locking the rear brakes as well.
Very, very hard vehicles to slow down these ones, of course. Oh, Postlethwaite again! So the brakes in these things, we hear about supercars being really, really tough to brake and to slow down, being such heavy vehicles. Well, imagine you've got less brake and a heavier car trying to slow it down, and only 4 gears, so you can't really engine brake it either. So These cars are really, really tough on the road courses, but they are a lot of fun. More horsepower than a supercar. So lap times are about the same, maybe slightly quicker in one of these cars for a majority of circuits, but the inability to slow them down is what makes these vehicles really, really tough. As Mia Ott's just ahead of these two drivers, she just decides to jump off the circuit. We're only 10 minutes in and we've already got over half the field a lap down.
Just shows you how high the attrition rate's been so far in this race. Worth noting as well that the top 3 drivers in the race all have experience in real-life racing in completely different types of cars. Cooper Webster races the Hyundai Excel, Glenn Postlethwaite races the V8 Commodore, and Cody Bircher races the Formula Ford.
Josh Perveen and Christina Nazarek side by side here, and Perveen's going to get the position over Nazarek. After Nazarek nearly hit the pit wall. That's another difficulty of this circuit, is the pit wall comes out and it just sort of magically appears right at the apex of turn 2 as there's another car around in the background. That's a lap down car as well. I believe that was Tyler Howard, who's come in and got his damage fixed from that earlier incident and is back out there with more issues. So it's going to cut away though, because it's Benjamin Smith from Evolution Racing Team. We don't see Benny out on track too much these days, but he's closing in on Brenton Hobson. Hobbo will be starting to feel the pressure, although he's one of the more experienced drivers in this sort of car as well. Hobson does like to drive these cars on the road courses, very, very familiar with this circuit and this car and this sort of combination. So Hobbo will be one to watch come the end of the race. Also seeing some technical issues for Cody Bircher as well.
So Cody Bircher starting to drop down the timing screen. So has he gone off somewhere, or is that potentially...
Yeah, an internet issue by the looks of it.
So I suppose that's the equivalent, isn't it, in sim racing, of having a mechanical with your car in real life.
Yep, that's the closest we've got to an engine failure or a blown gearbox or something like that. Just, well, in sim racing we don't have those mechanical failures as such. You can get a blown engine and things like that, but those 20-cent parts are the same sort of incident that we've just seen there. Just see Josh Rogers drop down the timing sheets too, so something's happened to Rogers in, oh, there we go. That's not the line you'd take out of the exit of the chicane, so he's had a big moment through the back chicane.
We mentioned that he's just relocated to Europe, and there we go again, too much curb once again, gets onto the grass. At least this time he's managed to keep it out of the fence, but these are very uncharacteristic driving errors from Josh Rogers, and I'm just wondering if, having undertaken that recent relocation to Europe, if he might be suffering a bit of jet lag at the moment.
Something's not working 100%. Obviously not using his normal equipment as well, probably playing a factor as well, so taking a little bit of work to get back to normal. So like jumping out of your normal car and getting into someone else's car, it doesn't always feel the same straight away. So as you've seen, here we go, pit stops are happening. Cooper Webster is in.
Good decision there from Cooper Webster by taking the early pit stop. He's going to eliminate the danger of getting caught out by a safety car, which will fall at some point. Oh, and Josh Perwain off the road. We saw that he was having a really good battle with Steve Cortis and Guy Leach a couple of seconds ago, but he's fallen off the racetrack.
Speaking of Steve Cortis and Guy Leach, they are closing up. Guy Leach a tiny little bit quicker, so we'll see how we go. Now Cooper Webster coming out, and it looks like a 2-tyre stop for Cooper Webster. So in these cars, as we said, very old school, so you have a jackman that will come out and literally jack up the side of the car. So you either take left side tyres or right side tyres, 2 wheelmen on each side of the car, sorry, on each tyre, and also a fuel man. So there's your 6. Cortis with a big mistake. Oh, contact across the finish line. Cortis has just clipped the wall and going to lose the spot to Nazarek as well.
Just to elaborate on that point that you were making there about pit stops, Jay, because this is an anti-clockwise racetrack, it means that you've got more left-hand corners than right-hand corners, which means that it is the right-hand side of the car that is the working or the loaded side of the car, and Josh Rogers is gone again. Oh, does he keep it off the fence? Yes, just. And despite all of these mistakes, Josh Rogers somehow is still inside the top 5. Not sure how long he's going to stay there for, though, because he's got a pack of cars closing up very rapidly.
That Postlethwaite is in pits. Yeah. Yeah, I think a few of these drivers that are having a little bit more trouble with grip will probably take 4 tyres at stop as well. Cooper Webster, the pace that he's got, he doesn't have to stress. He can take 2 tyres and just cruise around. But Postlethwaite taking, looks like it's going to be 4 tyres. Yep. Both sides of the car are jacked up, and that's a car upside down.
Christina Nazarick, and clearly this has been an incident. The question is, did she do it on her own, or was there assistance? She's hit the curbs and hit the tyres, and that has tripped over the number 41. Yep.
Lucky the cameraman gets safety money, danger money at Charlotte. But yeah, just as I said, that curb there could just shoot you straight into the tyres. When I said they could shoot you into the tyres, I wasn't joking. Won't be the last car we see rolled over at that point of the circuit too, so don't be surprised to see another one. As we see Cooper Webster already pitted and now closing in on Brenton Hobson, who looks like he's going to come into the pits now. No, he's continuing on, so wondering if Hobson may just hold up Cooper Webster a little bit if he can to help his teammate in Glenn Postlethwaite. No, doesn't do it. And also just seeing on the timing sheets that Glenn Postlethwaite had a really long pit stop. I wouldn't be surprised if Glenn Postlethwaite was speeding in the pit lane and has now got a penalty, but side by side they still go, Hobson and Webster.
You would think that Webster should be able to get this spot fairly comfortably, given that he's got fresh tyres at his disposal after that pit stop. But I'll tell you what, Brenton Hobson trying to make a fight of it for as long as he possibly can. Still not quite halfway through the race at the moment. 23 minutes and 45 seconds remaining on the clock. So still quite a few cars that are yet to pit. Brenton Hobson, Job Stewart, Jordan Caruso, Jay Hanson, Mitchell McLeod, Guy Leach, all yet to stop. Cooper Webster, obviously the best of the drivers who has stopped, ahead of Benjamin Smith, Glenn Postlethwaite, Josh Rogers and Brad Newman. The amazing thing here, Jay, is that even despite all of those incidents that Josh Rogers has had, and he's still driving right on the ragged edge, when the safety car comes out, he's still going to be in the lead pack and in contention for a podium finish or better.
No, he's effectively net 5th looking at the times at the moment, so still going along alright. As we see Glenn Morris going slow in the it's the Ricky Bobby inspired livery, is it not?
Do you know what this race reminds me of, Jay? It reminds me of the radical race that we had at Bar a few weeks ago. Just the attrition rate and the unforced errors that we're seeing from so many drivers.
I mean, it's a combination that you'd think a lot of people would probably have done because it is a real world combination, and it's also free content, so you don't have to pay extra in your iRacing subscription to race this combination or drive this combination. You can sign up for iRacing and jump straight in to do this straight out of the box. So it's something that you would expect drivers to have done a little bit more, but obviously drivers are struggling with the combination. And these cars aren't the easiest to drive, there's no doubt about that. So Benjamin Smith getting another spot there on Guy Leach. So to drive these cars fast is a real art form. There's really only been 1 or 2 drivers that are showing how to do that today. That Cooper Webster, Glenn Postlethwaite. By the looks of the timing at the moment, Benjamin Smith starting to come into his own, and Brenton Hobson comes into the lane.
I know that we talk about Josh Rogers and all of the success that he's achieved in sim racing at an international level, but I'll tell you what, if there's one driver who's demonstrated in this just-ended season, or even 2 seasons, that he's capable of adapting between all different types of track combinations and car combinations and being quick at whatever scenario you throw him into, Cooper Webster has certainly shown himself to be a very, very capable sim racing driver, and I get the feeling that he's a name that we might be hearing a lot more of in the future, because he's not bad in real life either. He's had some very good results in the Victorian XL Racing Series.
Safety car is out. go. The iRacing Porsche safety car is out. 100%. Cooper Webster's won the most races out of everybody. Just said it, not only by a little bit. He's won 4 races, only multiple race winner. Is that right? Only multiple?
So in this season of Just Send It, we have had Jackson Suzel and Harlow
Yes,
and Josh Rogers have each had a couple of race wins as well, but Cooper Webster has won 2 races this season and a couple of races in the last
season,
three in the last season as well.
Yeah, won 3 in a row. The back end, 3 and 4 weeks at the back end of last season. So he's definitely been the most dominant driver in regards to the races he's been able to do. But over consistency, it's been Brenton Hobson who's been the most consistent driver. So as we said, if there was a championship, Brenton Hobson would be leading the pretend fake championship, but no championship, so sorry Hobbo for that, to disappoint you, but the safety car will shuffle this field out. A few drivers are going to get caught out with not pitting yet, but Cooper Webster sitting in a very, very good spot. Brenton Hobson has actually come out in a good spot because he's just come out of the pits and he's right behind Benjamin Smith, so he's net 3rd after the pit stops are done, so Hobbo's in a good spot.
Correct. So Cooper Webster leads. He's done his pit stop. Job Stewart. Oh, problems for Cooper Webster. I just saw on my timing that the number 37 car had stopped, and there is Cooper Webster. His car has ground to a halt. What is the story here?
I think he's actually just waiting for the pace car to come on by. He's overtaken the pace car, or the pace car's come out too late. Just waited for the pace car, so that's what's happened. Thankfully, I was getting a bit stressed too that something had happened to his car, but yep, it looks like that's all it's been because he is going again. The engine didn't shut off, thankfully.
False alarm.
Oof. That would have been heartbreaking if something had have happened, though.
We return you to your regular programming, ladies and gentlemen, after that slight interruption of panicked commentary.
Yep. Less hysteria now. We won't get too crazy. Now, Jay Hansen is another interesting one as well. He's got heaps of damage to his car, so he's going to have to really be careful in the second half of the race, because if you get damage in the second half, you're not going to have time to pit and come back through the field.
He will have to pit, of course, Jay Hansen, who sits in position 4 in this race. Another driver with real-life racing experience, a race winner in the National Formula Ford Championship last year. He'll be racing with Ashley Seawood Motorsport in the TCR Australia Series this year in an Alfa Romeo. So he's currently 4th behind Cooper Webster, Job Stewart and Jordan Caruso. Hansen, like Stewart and Caruso, has to do a pit stop, as does Mitchell McLeod in position 5. Ben Smith in 6th position, the 2nd of the cars that has made a pit stop. Brenton Hobson in 7th position, the 3rd of the cars that has done a pit stop at this stage. And then it's Steve Cortis yet to pit, Glenn Postlethwaite, who has done a stop, and Brad Newman, who has also done a pit stop, rounding out your top 10.
Interesting, Stewart, Caruso, Hansen all did not opt to come into the pit, so wondering if they think that they can save enough fuel to bring it home, or they're wondering something else. There's something else going on in their heads, but they're going to get caught out big time, because you look behind them, you've got Benjamin Smith, Brenton Hobson, Glenn Postlethwaite, Brad Newman, Joseph DeJesus, all behind, fresh cars, fresh tyres, going to be going a much, much faster pace, and fairly damaged car for Jay Hansen. Job Stewart's car looking a little bit broken. Jordan Caruso's car looks fairly clean. That 33 car doesn't look too bad, but you'd think that these guys will all get swamped based on the fact that these other guys behind all look like they've taken four tyres in their pit stop.
Well, that was the point that I was going to make. So if you're pitting now or under this safety car, or when we return to racing, you absolutely take 4 tyres, because at least that will give you a pace advantage over all of the drivers who've only chosen to take 2 tyres.
The timing is showing Cooper Webster as position 2 at the moment. There's been an issue for Adam Camporelli, so we'll just quickly pick up what's happened. I did see him on the timing screen going backwards, and that will result in a disqualification. That's definitely not
like
allowed in real life. Yeah, in real life.
Reversing in pit lane is a big, big no-no.
Not even allowed to engage reverse gear in real life. Of course, NASCAR rules a little bit different, but I can just imagine the discussion post incident. If that was real life, you'd be in a fair bit of trouble.
The reason for that, of course, is because in pit lane, where you've got mechanics and other pit crew and other personnel who are working on race cars, if you've got drivers reversing in vehicles that typically don't have a lot of rear visibility, it creates a pretty dangerous situation.
The other thing too, you don't want to have pit crews looking two directions to try and find where cars are coming from as well. You don't want someone working on a car in pit lane, there's a car coming or something, hear a whistle for a car coming. You only want to look one way for the car, you don't want to have them look two different directions. So, but yeah, I have seen that before, so it's not the first time I've seen it, it's just the first time I've seen it in Just Send It. I'm sure Adam will be back last week, of course raced last week as well. It's good to see. Cooper Webster ready to get back underway.
Looking forward to the race start here. Let's see what happens. Last week when we had the BMWs at Barcelona, you'll remember that in the last 10 minutes of the race, all hell broke loose. And the action at the front of the field absolutely erupted. Let's see if it's a similar story this time around, although you would have to say that based on the first half of the race, Cooper Webster is looking very strong. Back underway, week 11, season 2 of Just Send It here at Charlotte. And much tidier this time around than they were in the initial start.
I think single files probably made a little bit of a difference as well, but yeah, much cleaner restart there after the safety car period. Josh Rogers trying to get a move done here on Josh Perveen and the Josh battle. And I reckon Josh is going to come out on top of this Josh battle. I don't know which one though.
Hard to say, isn't it? They're still side by side. Josh Rogers should have the preferred line for the next right-hander.
Oh, car around.
And he just squeezes ahead of the number 25. But Perwayne tries to fight back. We've got another car off the road and sending cones flying here, there, and everywhere. Trying to work out who that was. Was that Postlethwaite?
Postlethwaite is still going. I'm not sure who that was in the background. It was Cameron Danson went around. Postlethwaite is trying to make moves. He was right behind Jay Hansen, but lost a whole heap of ground through the chicane. Hansen now coming into the pits, so I think he's missed out there based on not pitting under the safety car, and now he's realised, hang on, I'm not going to make it home. I'm going to have to come in. So that's a freebie for all of these guys. Brad Newman has moved up a fair few positions in this one as well, so Brad Newman's going to be one to watch in this latter half of the race.
So the cars in positions 2 and 3, Job Stewart and Jordan Caruso also still have to pit. Benjamin Smith in the number 94 car does not. He's already done his pit stop, so Ben Smith in a pretty good position, fighting his way down on the inside of Jordan Caruso, who in the end decides that discretion is the better part of valor and opts to not fight that spot too aggressively. But look at the margin that Cooper Webster already has at this race start. It's already 3.5 seconds that he's extended over the cars behind. He has just been in a class of his own. I'll put it out there. We've seen some dominant performances from the likes of Josh Rogers in previous editions of Just Send It, but I'll tell you what, this drive from Cooper Webster is right up there for one of the most dominant race performances that we've seen in this series.
100%. Just to upset a few people, Brent Hobson lost a whole heap of ground through the midfield. Something has happened to him. I'm going to get 2 replays because I've just seen, just as I've got to the replay here, there's been another incident. This is something with Hobson. Something has happened to him, but I don't think he's caused this one. Don't tell me the 2 streamers have come together, that being McLeod and Hobson. Oh, Hobson's done it all on his own.
And just manages to get it pulled up before making contact with any solid objects, thankfully.
Staying on the replay here. The number 1 car. Oh! Makes contact with Nazarek, and then there's a wall there, so that's no way through. And staying on the replay, oh no! McLeod and Rogers.
So Josh Rogers, who was trying to fight his way back up through the field, getting tangled up with Mitchell McLeod. Both those cars making heavy contact with Yarmco. And that was, well, it was Josh Rogers again, wasn't it, who made the initial mistake by taking too much of the curb. And Mitchell McLeod left with nowhere to go.
Postlethwaite, Caruso battling down the back straight into the chicane. Oh, Postlethwaite. No, how did he save that again? That's 3 times.
He's walked the tightrope tonight, Glenn Postlethwaite, in terms of flirting with danger through those chicanes, but somehow he's managed to avoid disaster.
I was getting ready to queue up the replay then. Thought he was that far gone. There was no way of saving that, but he somehow has again. I shouldn't doubt Possie's ability. He's a very, very skilled driver, so no surprise to see him save it in some aspects. We've got good flavour around and having a secondary spin.
Always makes me a bit nervous when I see cars spinning like that in front of oncoming traffic.
Yep. Oh, there's another car involved, the 6 car.
Well, that answers that question. I was worried about him getting collected by oncoming traffic, but in fact he already had been. And we just caught the back end of it.
Yep. Again, another big slide coming through the chicane. And,
so Ivan Vantagiato backed or reversed backwards into the oncoming cars there, and that was why we saw that multi-car contretemps. This is another one of those races where there's going to be drivers who work their way into a good result, not by being fast, but just by staying out of trouble and avoiding incidents. And poor Techstar McCoy, he had absolutely no option but to crash straight into the back of Vantagiato's car there. And Glenn Postlethwaite in the pits.
I'm scratching my head right now.
What is this about? Because he had already made his pit stop earlier on. He's running in the top 6. You'd think that he should have enough fuel to get to the end, so unless it's a penalty that we're not aware of or it's been a strategic miscalculation, hard to imagine why Postlethwaite would be taking what seemingly is an unscheduled pit stop. Any idea what that might have been for, Jay?
I think it's a slight little top-up of fuel. He's put 3.6 seconds of fuel in the car. I'm thinking he's just come in for his initial pit stop. He got the speeding and pit lane penalty and has forgot to actually turn the fuel on and hasn't fueled the car up when he's coming for his initial pit stop. That's what I think he's done. I have done that before. Been so frustrated in getting a penalty that I've actually forgot to fuel the car. So I think that's what's happened there.
Well, Glenn Postlethwaite will be kicking himself for that error, won't he? Because basically it adds insult to injury, having already served out the penalty. And Glenn Postlethwaite now needs to not fall into the trap of overdriving the car to try and make up for that lost time. Josh Perwayne, he's been in the thick of the action tonight too, hasn't he? We've got another car having a rotation. According to my timing, there's still some cars in the top 5 that have to pit. Job Stewart and Jordan Caruso have not yet taken a pit stop.
Yeah, Job Stewart's car actually has got a lot more damage than it had before. I actually think they're slower pace at the moment. They're fuel saving. So I think they're fuel saving to come in with to finish the race without a stop. That's Fitzroy Beaumont around. And Beaumont, he started back in that 30-odd position. What position did he start in? 43. That's a good come through the field there for Beaumont. Was in 9th, now back into 12th, but very, very easy mistake to make there. But Pervine's been in the thick of the action, as you said, but somehow he's in 7th. I don't know how, but he's doing a very, very good job at the moment.
How about Tyson McAvoy? Started down in 44th position and is currently in 6th spot.
Yeah, great job is Tyson. So we'll be very, very happy with that. We'll be a driver to the oval side of things as well. He does drive oval a little bit, so be happy to be getting a good result in these cars on a road course.
Cooper Webster with an 8.2 second advantage over Benjamin Smith, another driver who has come from deep in the pack, started down in 20th position and is looking pretty good for a podium finish at this stage. So can Job Stewart and Jordan Caruso make it home? We've got less than 6.5 minutes remaining.
Oh no.
Joseph DeJesus, who was running inside the top 5 but has now pulled up on the side of the racetrack. He would have been on potentially for a podium finish depending on what happened with Stewart and Caruso.
I'm wondering if this is a blown engine. So dropping it back down a gear here. Let's go Kabul. Oh no. The 26 car, I believe that was. It was facing the wrong direction. And
That only seemed like fairly light contacts though, didn't it?
yeah, I'm not
Surely
sure.
that's not enough to put Jesus out of the race, but obviously it did.
Unless he already had some steering damage and it's caused more damage to his car than what he already had or something. I'm not sure. It did seem very, very light, so a little surprised by that. There is still more battles going on. We've only got 5 minutes left in this race. It has gone by very, very quick once again. We may not have had as much action in regards to battles as we would normally see. We've just seen some amazing car controllers. That's the big lesson that you need to learn when you're racing in a Roval course or at an oval. To not go below the white line. And Fitzroy Beaumont worked that out the hard way. Just said he's just made a little bit of contact with those curbs. Got through okay.
So I'm just having a look at the situation here for Job Stewart and Jordan Caruso. Neither of them are going to challenge Webster or Smith in first or second. However, the margin between Caruso in fourth and Josh Perwain in fifth position is about 15 or 16 odd seconds. So even if Stewart and Caruso have to back off the pace to try and save as much fuel as they can, they've still got some buffer back to the cars behind in terms of time. And just as I make that comment, Job Stewart goes and makes mockery of it by sticking it in the fence.
I was about to say that they've almost got enough time to come in and splash some fuel in for a pit stop. Job Stewart might not have a choice because it's on now between Caruso and Stewart. Job Stewart's going to have to do a really good job to hold on now. 4 minutes left, so it's at 3, maybe 4 laps left. There is time for this little battle to continue on, but through goes Caruso. Stewart's going to try and cut back. Almost contact between the two.
Jordan Caruso, a driver who's no stranger to big, powerful cars because he's been racing the John Goulet Odin-built Audi A4 sports sedan in the Australian Sports Sedan Series for the last couple of seasons. And that move on Job Stewart was fairly easy in the end. I think, no doubt, Stewart's struggling with a bit of damage after that collision with the wall.
Probably damage to his ego and his confidence a little bit too, because it was just looked like he went in there really, really casually, but often see it in races when drivers might be cooling off or even fuel saving a little bit, just dropping back the pace a tiniest amount. Going from 100% back to 99 is just enough to ruin a driver's concentration, and again he's just jumped it over the curbs. So Job Stewart looks a little bit flustered at the moment. About to say I think he's going to come into the pits, but he's proved me wrong on that thought. Oh, not again. Oh.
I think he decided then that he wasn't going to make that corner, so rather than try it, he decided just to go straight ahead.
See Caruso just coming past some lap down traffic in the 75 car. The 75 car it was. Darren McKenzie. Only 11 cars left on the lead lap. Glenn Morrison, the last of those cars on the lead lap. Cooper Webster is not all too far behind. Still the fastest car out on track by an absolute mile. He'll get the 2 to go signal when he comes across the line. And if you look up dominant in the dictionary, it'd be a link to this race, I think, because Cooper Webster, absolute world of his own at the moment.
And I'll tell you what, in the hypothetical championship that we've got, this is going to close him right in onto Brenton Hobson with 1 round to go as well.
It's awkward to come out of turn 1 and see a car facing the wrong way. Strange spot, that was Steve Cordes. Cooper Webster, as we've seen, he's just been dominant in the races he's been able to do, and he's not winning, he's right up there as well. But even Brenton Hobson hasn't had the most successful night. He hasn't had a great night. He's still in 8th. So Hobson again getting points, even though he hasn't had the most amazing run. So both of these drivers are doing like that. They are definitely the most consistent throughout the series that we've had, both season 1 and season 2, really.
I think Jordan Caruso is going to be okay to make it home here. He's going to have 1 or a couple of laps to go. So if that's the case, then this has been It's been an excellent strategic drive from Jordan Caruso, who started this race out of position 15 on the grid.
Yeah, definitely a bit of fuel saving going on for both Caruso and Stewart, but probably now realising that they don't have to save as much as the white flag comes out for Cooper Webster. One more revolution of this Charlotte Roval course. Very, very difficult track, and we've seen mistake there. First mistake we've really seen for Cooper Webster. We've seen races at this circuit. Every single vehicle that we've seen at this circuit, there's been controversy, chaos, and mayhem, and it all stems from those chicanes on the back straight. Whether it's this version, the 2018 spec version, or the newer 29 spec version where it's a tighter chicane, it just breeds issues just based on how compact, high-speed entry, and lack of grip that chicane has. It's caught out so many drivers, and tonight has not been any different.
One driver who's not been caught out by the chicanes, though, has been our runaway race leader, Cooper Webster. What superlatives can we come up with to describe this performance tonight? Because it has been absolutely exquisite. One of the most dominant victories we've seen him just send it. It's Cooper Webster who comes out of the last chicane. He hasn't had to do much sending tonight because he's had it all his own way at the front of the field, and he takes a comprehensive race victory in week 11, season 2 of Just Send It at Charlotte.
Great job from Cooper Webster. Benjamin Smith across in second position. And it's going to end up being a position 1, 2, 3 for Evolution Racing Team, with Jordan Caruso looking like he will come across the line in third position. So great job for Evolution Racing Team tonight. 1, 2, 3. Job Stewart will come home for fourth, but it's on for 6 and 7. This is close here between Pervine and Brendan West. Brendan West has just lost a spot, but he's going to try and get it back here on the last lap.
He'll really have one last overtaking opportunity heading into that final chicane.
Oh, Hobson's
up on the
coming
outside comes Brendan Hobson as well, and he's going to grab a spot here, Brendan Hobson.
Steal sixth?
Down the inside, there's contact. Hobson glances the wall. Brendan West rotates as well. And in the end, it's Josh Perwane who manages to get out of jail and bring it home in 6th position despite a pretty vigorous challenge there in that last chicane.
Thought Hobson was going to steal 2 positions and steal 6 then for a second, but Cooper Webster celebrating has ended badly for a couple other drivers. I just saw Textar McCoy upside down, but what a dominant race that has been. A brilliant drive from Cooper Webster, and shape up to be an interesting race in 1 week's time. The final race I just said it for season 2. I'm looking forward to it already. Bring it on.
That was cool. Certainly fairly chaotic. Like I said, a bit like the radical race that we had at Spa a few weeks ago. Here's the results. Cooper Webster, 11.8 seconds the victory margin. Back to Benjamin Smith, 18th on the grid. Sorry, 20th on the grid, an 18 spot gain to move up into 2nd position. Jordan Caruso brings it home in 3rd with the fuel economy run. No pit stops for our 3rd place finisher tonight. Job Stewart 4th. Glenn Postlethwaite gets a penalty, has to make an extra pit stop, still finishes in the top 5. And then it's Josh Perwane, Brenton Hobson, Brenton West, Jay Hansen and Fitzroy Beaumont rounding out the top 10.
9 drivers on the lead lap in the end, which is incredible in a 40-minute race. So good job from those 9 to stay on the lead lap. Glenn Morris in 11th position with Darren McKenzie next. Textar McCoy in 13th position. Cameron Dance plus 36 position. Started in 50th on the grid. Last spot. Comes all the way through to 14th. So Cam will be pretty happy with that. Josh Morris in 15th position. Dave Trevethan in 16th. Harrison Dengate, Jonathan Bykoff, Ivan Vantiago and Steve Cortis rounding out the top 20.
Lots of cars, multiple laps down. Look at that. Joseph to Jesus, Tyson McAvoy, Guy Wedge, Josh Rogers, and uncharacteristically error-strewn night for him. Christina Nazarick in 25th position. Michael Thomas, Brad Newman, Mitchell McLeod, Luke Claver, and Adam Campriali in 30th position.
Cohen Addard, Cody Birch, Mia Ott. This is a fairly sad-looking list of names here. Reese Cohen, Will Longmore, Trent Bowles, Guy Brown, Steve Owen out very, very early, and Tyler Howard as well. Last page here. James Close.
Long list of
Oh,
retirements there.
horrible,
James Close, yep. Kobe Williams, Jaden Wanzek, back to Casey Mann, Dwayne Priest, Damien Rasmussen, Renee Harris, Blake Purdy, Ben Snell, and Will Newell. All of those cars failing to make it to the checkered flag.
What a night of racing, though. It was good fun. Tough for the drivers, but very, very entertaining either way.
There's certainly plenty of incidents to talk about, that's for sure. It's been contrasting, hasn't it? The types of races that we've seen in this season of Just Send. We've had some terrific battles for the race lead and for race victory some weeks. Other weeks, like this one and like the Radicals of Spa, at Spa, it's really just been a war of attrition and a battle of survival.
Which in some ways is just as entertaining because you see the drivers really battling against themselves as opposed to battling against other cars. From there, you see two drivers that are battling against themselves and battling against the cars at the same time. That's where you see the really cool battles. We saw some really interesting little fights there throughout. So I don't know which side of it I want next week, whether I want to see the real close battles or the guys fighting against the cars, but maybe we might try and talk them into something that will give us a combination of the two.
Impressed with the performance from Cooper Webster, though. And once again, I think that he's got a real future as a star in sim racing based on his ability to jump between all different types of cars and track combinations and be fast and competitive in all of them.
100%. Seen Webster be really, really strong. And that in other series that we broadcast here on SimSpeed over the past few weeks. So Cooper Webster definitely a name to watch in the future. Was when he won his first ever race in V8 Scops, the youngest ever race winner in V8 Scops, was passed in that achievement by Jackson Susan Harlow. So those two guys, two of the best that we've got in that younger range. But Job Stewart also going to be one to watch in the future. Jordan Caruso has come from literally nowhere over the past few weeks, just signed with Evolution Racing Team, and he will be one to watch as well over the next few weeks as well. Next 6 to 12 months, all of those guys will be right up there in the next phase of the sim racing ones to watch.
So that was week 11 for season 2 of Just Send, coming to you tonight from Charlotte Motor Speedway. As always, a big thank you to our series sponsors, including Melbourne Performance Centre, SimWorks Race Simulators, Erebus Motorsport, JAC Technologies, Digital Marketing Tribe, and of course all of the action coming to you live right around the world right here on SimSpeed Television. We will be back next Tuesday night for the 12th and final round of Season 2 of Just Send It. Thank you for your company. On behalf of Jay Kennedy, I'm Lachlan Mansell. See you next time. Bye for now.
Sometimes you just got to lick the stamp and send it.
I don't know what happened on there. I just plucked her in first and gave some Gen. Oh, fuck yeah. Sorry.
You are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a car that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
We go green for 40 minutes of racing around Monza.
Billy, look at defense by Ethan Grigol, just getting so punchy.
And a brilliant getaway already from Josh Rogers.
Two pro drivers going at it here between Dylan O'Keefe and Nick Foster.
Stanaway's demoted to third. Webster wins week 9 here at Sebring through the final corner. That's a huge slide for Cooper Murray. Just trying to barge their way through, and that's whoa, that's a merry-go-round for Nick Burkett. Campbell, Paolo Gaon, and Ferraris behind. Glenn Wood actually was flipped into the barriers. One of the most exciting pirouettes I've seen in quite some time. That's Van Gisbergen, and his day is done. Tell you what, if Calvin wins this race, I wouldn't be surprised. He's all 4 wheels up the racetrack. Wow, but he just saves it on the apex.
Contact almost made, side by side through the elevation change, and Scotty McLaughlin had the move done, but he got over the crest. And
What a send!
Dylan O'Keefe sends it up to the inside, can't do anything with it.
Shane Van Gisbergen already on the attack.
It begins and sending has begun.
And it's going to be a drag race to the line. Tuesday night is rapidly becoming a night to lick the stamp. Send it.
Oh, I forgot I was helping commentate here. I was just sitting back in my jocks and